Gabriella's fingers moved methodically across the keyboard in the city office, her eyes scanning the sea of faces in the bustling room. The familiar hum of conversations and shuffling paperwork filled the air. As a civil servant, Gabriella had spent years navigating the ebb and flow of city life, dealing with a myriad of citizen concerns. Little did she know that this ordinary day would unravel the tapestry of her life. A woman and a man approached the counter where Gabriella was stationed. The woman, Holly, exuded an air of youthful bliss, holding tightly to a bundle of paperwork. The man, standing awkwardly beside her, seemed familiar. Gabriella looked up, her eyes meeting those of her husband, Abraham. "Hey, Abraham," she greeted, forcing a smile, though a twinge of suspicion lingered beneath the surface. Abraham managed a weak nod, his eyes avoiding hers. Holly, however, flashed a charming smile at Gabriella. "We've had a baby," she announced, her voice carrying a hint of excitement. Gabriella's eyes narrowed slightly as she scrutinized the birth registration form Holly handed over. "Congratulations. Let me just go through this to make sure everything's in order," she said, her fingers tracing the details on the document. Holly, oblivious to the tension, chatted animatedly with Abraham about baby celebrations and introductions. Abraham, however, stood there like a statue, his face pale and eyes avoiding Gabriella's penetrating gaze. "Are you sure you accept this?" Gabriella asked, breaking the uncomfortable silence. Holly nodded, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing between the couple. "I've been working here for 10 years, Gabriella mused, addressing Abraham without looking up from the paperwork. "I know how important these details are." Abraham merely mumbled a response, his discomfort palpable. Gabriella felt a knot tightening in her stomach as she continued to scrutinize the birth registration form, her mind racing to make sense of the implications. "We should celebrate this joyous occasion," Holly said, attempting to engage Gabriella in the conversation. Gabriella forced a smile, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. "Sure, once everything is confirmed." As she continued to process the paperwork, Gabriella couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter held the key to a hidden chapter in her life. The city office, once a backdrop for mundane tasks, now became the stage for a revelation that would alter the course of her marriage. The city office encounter lingered in Gabriella's mind like a persistent shadow, casting doubt on the foundation of her marriage. As days passed, the routine at home took on a new weight, each mundane task an opportunity for Gabriella to reflect on the unraveling threads of her once stable life. One evening after a long day at work, Gabriella found herself in the kitchen, mechanically preparing dinner. Abraham sat at the table, engrossed in his phone, seemingly oblivious to the strained atmosphere. "You've been working late a lot?" Abraham remarked, his tone a mixture of casual observation and accusation. Gabriella, her back turned to him as she chopped vegetables, sighed. "It's part of the job. You know how demanding it can get." Abraham's gaze remained fixed on his phone. "Well, it's not like you're doing anything important. Just city office stuff." The condescension in his words hung in the air, a stark departure from the supportive partner Gabriella once knew. She turned to face him, her eyes searching for a trace of the man she married. "This job is important to me. It's always been. We used to support each other." Abraham looked up briefly, his eyes meeting hers with an indifferent gaze. "Used to? Things change, Gabriella. I've changed. You should too." The words hung in the air, an unspoken truth echoing through the kitchen. Gabriella felt a knot tightening in her chest, a realization that the rift between them was growing wider. Later that week, as they sat in the living room, The silence between them became suffocating. Gabriella, unable to contain her thoughts any longer, broke the quietude. "Abraham, is there something you're not telling me? Something has changed, and I can't keep pretending everything is okay." Abraham looked away, his eyes avoiding hers. "You're making a big deal out of nothing. I've got my own things to deal with." "But we're a team," Gabriella insisted, frustration creeping into her voice. "We used to share everything. Now you're distant, and I don't even know who you are anymore." Abraham sighed, a weary expression on his face. "I've got responsibilities at work. Maybe you should focus on your job too, and stop overthinking everything." The dismissal stung, and Gabriella felt a wave of sadness wash over her. As Abraham retreated further into his shell, Gabriella realized that the routine they once cherished was now a battleground of unspoken grievances. The unraveling threads of their marriage seemed to pull tighter with each passing day, leaving Gabriella to wonder if the fabric of their life together could withstand the strain. The once cohesive fabric of Gabriella and Abraham's marriage now strained under the weight of unspoken tensions. As the days unfolded, the chasm between them widened, and the air at home became thick with unaddressed issues. One evening, Gabriella returned home to find Abraham sitting on the couch, the glow of the television casting a flickering light on his distant expression. The strained silence lingered as Gabriella hesitated near the doorway. "Abraham," she began tentatively, "we need to talk. This can't go on like this." Abraham looked at her, his eyes revealing a mixture of annoyance and apathy. "Talk about what? There's nothing to talk about." Gabriella felt frustration bubbling within her. "Our relationship is falling apart, and you're acting like it's not happening. We can't just ignore it." He scoffed, a bitter smile playing on his lips. "Maybe you're the one making everything dramatic. Life changes, Gabriella. Get used to it." Her patience wearing thin, Gabriella raised her voice slightly. "It's not about change, it's about communication. We used to share our problems, our joys. Now you're shutting me out." Abraham stood abruptly, his eyes ablaze with a sudden intensity. "Maybe you're just not getting the message. I need space, all right. I've got my own things to deal with." The tension in the room thickened as he stormed off, leaving Gabriella alone with the echoes of their unresolved argument. The walls seemed to close in on her as she grappled with the realization that the person she had once relied on now felt like a stranger. In the following days, the atmosphere at home became a battleground of passive-aggressive exchanges. Abraham's condescending remarks about Gabriella's job and the increasing neglect of shared responsibilities heightened the tension. One evening, Gabriella confronted him as they stood in the kitchen, the clattering of dishes serving as a backdrop to their brewing conflict. "Why are you so distant? What's going on?" she pleaded. Abraham dismissed her with a wave of his hand. "You're too obsessed with your job. Maybe if you focused on us, things would be different." Gabriella felt a surge of anger. "This is not just about my job. It's about us, Abraham. You're pushing me away, and I don't understand why." His response was a cold stare, a silent barrier between them. As the tension reached its peak, Gabriella couldn't help but wonder if the fractures in their relationship were irreparable. The routine that once brought comfort now felt like a prison of unspoken resentments, and the echoes of their strained dialogues lingered, haunting the spaces between them. Gabriella's days at the city hall took on a surreal quality after the unsettling encounter with Abraham and Holly. As she navigated the familiar routine, her mind oscillated between duty and the unraveling mystery of her personal life. One particularly busy day, the city hall buzzed with activity. The constant hum of conversations, the shuffling of papers, and the occasional ringing of phones created a chaotic symphony. Gabriella, despite the bustling environment, found solace in the rhythm of her work. Amid the hustle, Gabriella's eyes caught a glimpse of a familiar face among the crowd, Holly, the woman from the encounter. She was standing in line, clutching a stack of documents. The revelation hit Gabriella like a tidal wave. Holly approached Gabriella's counter with a bright smile, seemingly unaware of the emotional storm brewing within Gabriella. "Hi there. I'm back. We're here to submit more paperwork for the baby." Gabriella forced a professional smile. "Of course. Let me take a look." As she went through the documents, Gabriella's mind raced. How could Holly appear so carefree, so unburdened, while Gabriella grappled with the unraveling threads of her life? "Isn't it a busy day for you?" Holly chirped, attempting small talk. Gabriella managed a weak nod. "It's always busy here. Now, if you could please fill out this section correctly." As Holly busied herself with the paperwork, Gabriella's eyes inadvertently met Abraham's across the room. The tension between them was palpable, a silent exchange that spoke volumes. "Have you been working here for long?" Holly asked, breaking Gabriella from her internal turmoil. 10 years, Gabriella replied, her tone distant. "It feels like a lifetime." Holly chuckled, oblivious to the weight of Gabriella's words. "I can't imagine. This is my first time here. Everything is so new and exciting." The irony of Holly's words hung heavy in the air. Gabriella, though bound by professionalism, couldn't shake the unsettling feeling of being caught in a tangled web of deception. As the encounter unfolded, Gabriella guided Holly through the process, her mind racing to maintain composure. Dialogues echoed in the bustling atmosphere, but the words felt like distant echoes against the overwhelming reality of her fractured marriage. "Thank you for your help. You're making this so much easier," Holly said with gratitude, blissfully unaware of the turmoil within Gabriella. As Holly and Abraham left, the city hall returned to its chaotic normalcy. Gabriella, however, felt the weight of her emotions settle like a heavy fog, leaving her to navigate the complexities of her personal life amid the impersonal routine of the city office. Gabriella couldn't escape the relentless echoes of her personal turmoil as the routine at the city hall persisted. The revelation that Holly's child shared an anniversary with her and Abraham's wedding day gnawed at Gabriella's every thought, turning what should have been a day of celebration into a haunting reminder of betrayal. As the dreaded anniversary approached, Gabriella found herself lost in a sea of conflicting emotions. The familiar routine of her job at the city hall provided a facade of normalcy, but underneath, a storm brewed. On the eve of their anniversary, Gabriella confronted Abraham at home, her voice carrying the weight of unspoken grievances. "Tomorrow is our anniversary. The one day we used to cherish. What happened, Abraham? Where did we go wrong?" Abraham, sitting on the couch with an air of detachment, replied with a nonchalant shrug. "Anniversaries are just days. They don't mean much." Gabriella's frustration bubbled to the surface. "They mean something to me. They used to mean something to you. What changed?" His response was a dismissive wave of his hand. "Life happened, Gabriella. People change. Priorities shift." The hollowness of his words hung in the air, and Gabriella felt the weight of their shared history pressing down on her. The routine that once centered around shared joy and celebration now felt like a cruel mockery. The day of their anniversary arrived, and the tension at home was palpable. Gabriella, unable to escape the haunting significance of the date, attempted to bring a semblance of normalcy to their strained relationship. "Abraham, do you remember the restaurant we used to go to every year?" she ventured, her voice carrying a mixture of nostalgia and pain. Abraham, scrolling through his phone, barely glanced her way. "Yeah, what about it?" "I thought maybe we could go there tomorrow. Relive a bit of what we used to be," Gabriella suggested, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. A dry laugh escaped Abraham's lips. "I've got plans tomorrow." "Can't make it." Gabriella's heart sank, the reality of their fractured relationship hitting her with a forceful blow. Plans? What could be more important than our anniversary? He looked at her with a cold indifference. "Work. Meetings. Life, Gabriella. Get used to it." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Gabriella, torn between the desire to salvage their connection and the harsh reality of Abraham's apathy, felt the weight of the anniversary crushing down on her. As the day unfolded, Gabriella couldn't shake the bitter irony that the restaurant, once a symbol of their shared joy, now stood as a testament to the irreparable fractures in their relationship. The routine of the city hall seemed a distant backdrop to the unraveling of a love that once thrived on shared anniversaries and cherished memories. The city office, once a haven of routine for Gabriella, now became the stage for a confrontation she had long avoided. The encounter with Holly and Abraham had unraveled the facade of normalcy, and the weight of unspoken truths hung heavy in the air. One busy day at the city hall, as Gabriella attended to her duties, she spotted Abraham and Holly approaching her counter. The tension in the room escalated as their eyes met, a silent acknowledgement of the impending confrontation. Holly, Gabriella acknowledged with forced professionalism, her eyes flickering toward Abraham, who avoided her gaze. "We're back for more paperwork," Holly said, her tone oblivious to the underlying currents. "Of course," Gabriella replied, her voice steady. "Let's ensure everything is in order this time." As she reviewed the documents, Gabriella's mind raced. The weight of the unspoken truth hovered over the counter, threatening to shatter the fragile semblance of normalcy. Abraham, shifting uncomfortably, glanced around the room as if searching for an escape from the impending confrontation. Holly, engrossed in the paperwork, remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing. "Congratulations on your child," Gabriella said, her voice carefully measured. "But there's something we need to discuss." Holly looked up, her eyes filled with curiosity. "Discuss? Is there an issue?" Gabriella hesitated for a moment before choosing her words carefully. "The child's birth date. It coincides with our wedding anniversary." Holly's eyes widened in surprise, and she turned to Abraham, seeking an explanation. Abraham, caught off guard, avoided eye contact. "What does that mean?" Holly asked, her tone now tinged with uncertainty. Gabriella took a deep breath. "It means there are questions that need answers." "Abraham, we need to talk." Abraham sighed, his shoulders slumping as if resigned to the inevitable. "Fine, let's talk. But not here." The tension in the room thickened as the trio moved to a more secluded area. Gabriella, her heart pounding, faced Abraham with a mixture of pain and determination. "I deserve the truth, Abraham. What is happening between you and Holly?" Gabriella demanded, her voice echoing in the quiet corridor. Abraham hesitated, glancing at Holly before meeting Gabriella's gaze. "It's complicated." "That's not an answer," Gabriella pressed, her patience wearing thin. Holly, sensing the gravity of the situation, interjected, "Abraham, Tell her the truth. She deserves to know. As Abraham struggled to find words, Gabriella's eyes hardened with resolve. The truth, Abraham. No more lies. Finally, Abraham spoke, the words heavy with admission. Holly and I, we have a child together. I didn't know how to tell you. The revelation hung in the air, a stark admission of betrayal. Gabriella, grappling with a surge of emotions, forced herself to confront the reality that their marriage had reached a point of no return. The city office, once a backdrop for routine, now witnessed the unraveling of a life built on trust and shared history. The revelation of Abraham's betrayal echoed through Gabriella's world, leaving behind a trail of shattered trust and unspoken pain. As the city hall continued its routine, a pivotal moment unfolded, a confrontation between the estranged couple, Holly, and an unexpected intervention from Holly's father. A few days after the confrontation, Gabriella found herself immersed in her work at the city hall. The once familiar routine became a refuge, shielding her from the storm brewing within. However, the calm was short-lived as the entrance of the city hall heralded an unexpected reunion. Holly, with a mix of hesitation and determination, approached Gabriella's counter. Gabriella looked up, her expression a cocktail of emotions, betrayal, anger, and a tinge of curiosity. Gabriella, we need to talk, Holly began, her eyes pleading for understanding. Gabriella, choosing to address the situation with a measured calmness, nodded. All right, let's talk, but make it quick. As they moved to a more secluded area, Holly took a deep breath. I never knew he was married. He told me he was single, that he didn't want any ties. I never wanted to hurt anyone. Gabriella, though seething with anger, couldn't help but detect a genuine remorse in Holly's eyes. You should have known better, Holly. Now we're all paying the price. Before Holly could respond, a commotion near the entrance caught their attention. Holly's father, a stern and imposing figure, strode into the city hall, his face contorted with a mix of disappointment and rage. Holly, what is the meaning of this? He thundered, his gaze piercing through the crowded room. Holly, visibly distressed, stammered, Dad, I didn't know he was married. Her father's eyes shifted to Gabriella, his expression softening with a hint of sympathy. Are you the wife? Gabriella nodded, her voice firm. Yes, I am, and I didn't know about her until recently. Holly's father, though visibly upset, seemed to acknowledge Gabriella's pain. I'm sorry for what my daughter unknowingly brought into your life. We need to sort this out. As they moved to a quieter area, away from the prying eyes of the city hall, the tension in the air thickened. Holly's father faced Gabriella with a mix of remorse and determination. I had no idea he was married. I would have never allowed this to happen if I knew, he admitted, his voice carrying the weight of responsibility. Gabriella, though resentful of the situation, couldn't help but appreciate the sincerity in his words. This is a mess, and it's hurting everyone involved. What do we do now? Holly's father sighed. I'll make sure Abraham faces the consequences. Legal actions, disciplinary measures at work. Whatever it takes. He won't escape accountability. Holly, standing at a distance, listened with a heavy heart. Dad, I never meant for any of this to happen. I thought he loved me. Her father's gaze softened, but his resolve remained firm. Love built on deception is no love at all. We'll deal with this, Holly. But first, we must ensure justice is served. The unexpected intervention marked a turning point in the unfolding drama. As the trio navigated the complexities of the situation, the City Hall, a silent witness to their tumultuous journey, continued its routine, unfazed by the personal storms swirling within its walls. The aftermath of the confrontation and intervention left Gabriella grappling with the stark reality of her shattered marriage. As the City Hall continued its routine, the reckoning of Abraham's actions unfolded, leading to a cascade of consequences that reached beyond the confines of their personal lives. Days after the intervention, Gabriella received a call from her lawyer, signaling the initiation of legal proceedings against Abraham. The City Hall, once a sanctuary from personal turmoil, now served as a backdrop to Gabriella's determination to seek justice. In the midst of her duties, Gabriella found herself summoned to the Human Resources Department. Abraham's actions had not gone unnoticed, and the consequences were swift. Disciplinary measures were being taken against him, a reckoning that extended beyond their fractured marriage. As Gabriella entered the Human Resources office, the tension in the air was palpable. Abraham, facing the consequences of his betrayal, sat across from her, his demeanor a stark contrast to the confident man she once knew. The HR representative, a stern-faced woman with a stack of documents, began the proceedings. "Mr. Abraham, your actions have violated the ethical standards of our company. We take this matter seriously, and there will be consequences." Abraham, a shadow of his former self, nodded solemnly. "I understand." Gabriella, though harboring a mix of anger and sadness, couldn't help but feel a twinge of empathy for the man who was now facing the fallout of his own choices. The HR representative continued, "Your employment with the company is terminated, effective immediately. You'll be informed about the legal actions taken against you separately." As the weight of the consequences settled, Abraham, for the first time, met Gabriella's gaze. His eyes held a mixture of remorse and regret, a silent acknowledgement of the irreversible damage he had caused. The City Hall, a witness to their shared history, now stood witness to the fallout of a marriage unraveled by deception and betrayal. Days turned into weeks, and the legal proceedings intensified. Gabriella, navigating the intricacies of divorce and seeking restitution for the emotional turmoil inflicted upon her, found herself facing Abraham in a courtroom. As the judge presided over the proceedings, Gabriella's lawyer presented the case, outlining the financial and emotional damages incurred. Abraham, stripped of the arrogance that once defined him, listened in silence. The judge, after careful consideration, delivered a verdict that echoed through the courtroom. "Mr. Abraham, you will be held responsible for alimony and child support. The court finds your actions reprehensible, and you will face the consequences of your choices." The fallout extended beyond the legal realm. News of Abraham's actions reached the wider community, casting a shadow over his once promising reputation. The City Hall, a symbol of routine and order, now bore witness to the chaos wrought by one man's betrayal. In the midst of the reckoning, Gabriella found solace in the support of friends and colleagues. The routine of the City Hall, though forever altered by the events that unfolded within its walls, provided a semblance of stability in the midst of chaos. As the legal proceedings concluded and the fallout settled, Gabriella emerged stronger, her resolve unbroken by the storm that had shaken the foundations of her life. The City Hall, with its familiar routine, became a symbol of resilience, a testament to Gabriella's ability to navigate the aftermath and rebuild her life. With the legal proceedings concluded and the fallout of Abraham's actions settling, Gabriella found herself at a crossroads. The routine of the City Hall, once a constant in her life, now served as a platform for her journey toward independence and self-discovery. In the weeks that followed, Gabriella immersed herself in her work at the City Hall, determined to reclaim a sense of normalcy. Colleagues, aware of the challenges she faced, offered words of encouragement and support. One day, as Gabriella navigated the bustling corridors of the City Hall, her supervisor, Mr. Rodriguez, approached with a supportive smile. "Gabriella, I've been impressed with your resilience during this challenging time. Your dedication to your work hasn't gone unnoticed." Gabriella, grateful for the acknowledgement, replied, "Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. The routine here has been a lifeline for me." He nodded understandingly. "Well, we're fortunate to have you. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to let me know." Embracing the newfound strength within herself, Gabriella decided to explore opportunities beyond the familiar walls of the City Hall. She enrolled in professional development courses, expanding her skill set and opening doors to new possibilities. One day, as she attended a networking event, she struck up a conversation with a fellow attendee, Sarah. They found common ground in their career aspirations and shared stories of overcoming personal challenges. Sarah, sensing Gabriella's strength, remarked, "You're an inspiration, Gabriella. Turning adversity into an opportunity for growth takes courage." Gabriella smiled, grateful for the newfound connections that extended beyond the City Hall. Sometimes life forces you to discover strengths you never knew you had. As Gabriella embraced her independence, she faced another significant decision, the decision to sell the house she once shared with Abraham. The process was emotionally taxing, but it marked a symbolic step toward a new chapter. During the closing process, the real estate agent, Mrs. Turner, offered words of encouragement. Starting anew can be daunting, but it's also a chance for a fresh beginning. You're taking control of your destiny. Gabriella, signing the final paperwork, replied with a mixture of determination and optimism. "I'm ready for a fresh start, Mrs. Turner. Thank you for your support." The City Hall, a constant presence in Gabriella's life, became a backdrop for her journey toward independence. The routine, once a sanctuary, now served as a canvas for her transformation. In the midst of her newfound independence, Gabriella received an unexpected call from Holly, seeking closure and understanding. They met at a quiet cafe, the air thick with unspoken apologies and shared pain. "I never meant to cause you so much hurt," Holly admitted, her eyes filled with remorse. Gabriella, having found strength in adversity, responded with empathy. "Life is complicated, and sometimes we hurt others without realizing it. Let's both learn from this and move forward." As the conversation unfolded, Gabriella realized the importance of forgiveness in her journey toward healing. The City Hall, with its routine and order, stood as a silent witness to the resilience of a woman who embraced independence and emerged from the shadows of betrayal stronger than ever.